Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is, what's it called again? An episode of This Week in No Man's Sky, even though it has been fucking months since I've last done an episode. I don't give a shit. We're back, pretending like it's been a week, and we're also going to pretend like Beyond happened this week. And all I'm going to be doing today is just fucking rambling about Beyond. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. I'm going to say what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and in general, just kind of chat shit in a good way and also a bad way about No Man's Sky Beyond. Now, first and foremost, I am still a little bit under the weather. For the very first time in God knows how long, actually caught some kind of flu or a virus, fuck knows how, and after fighting off the temperatures and the fucking sweats and, you know, the really disgusting looking pale skin and shit like that, I'm now left with basically a mild cold, and one of the side effects of that is basically a cough and a fairly sore throat as well. But I've got a fucking pint of milk here. I've got that's about it really. I've just got some milk to help me, but because this is an episode of This Week in No Man's Sky, I won't be editing the audio, so I do apologise if I start coughing up a lung. Now, before we even get into the video, alright, I want to say something really fucking weird. This thing about me getting a virus, alright, so this is the most ill I've been in a very long time. Right, we're talking years. I haven't been this ill in fucking years. Now, the day I went to the No Man's Sky Guildford meetup, the Three Pigeons, which was a Saturday, okay, on the way to the station, I had my earphones in and I was stopped by two random women who I did not know, kind of like, you know, African women, who were essentially asking me if I'd let Jesus into my life. Now, I'm actually quite open to religion and, you know, thinking differently and outside the box and things like that. I studied religious studies for A-level and I passed it as well, believe it or not. So I'm really interested in it, and it also ties quite nicely into drugs as well when you start getting into psychedelics and shit like that. Anyway, they asked me if they could pray for me, essentially, and I said, yeah, pray for me. And they said, okay, what do you want us to pray for you? You know, what thing do you want us to pray for? And I said, you know what, bless me with some good health. And they did. They prayed for me for good health, and a week later I get the most ill I've been in fucking years. Now, what's going on with that? Okay, that's either something telling me that whatever slight doubt in my mind I had about religion being, you know, true or not true, it's just straight up said, look, you're a fucking idiot, stop thinking that stuff. Or it said, hey, maybe this is a test, maybe this is actually what they prayed for, but just a complete opposite. You know, maybe miracles and fucking happy shit doesn't always come in really nicely, tightly wrapped presents. Maybe I have to work for it. Maybe I have to work for the good health and go through hell and back in order to appreciate it. I don't know. Anyway, I found that really strange, and I thought about it, and the fact that it happened as well on the day of the meetup was just really, really strange. Anyway, if you don't give a shit about that, then I'll put a timestamp to 4 minutes so you don't have to hear me ramble about religion. But anyway, I'm ill. I'm still a little bit ill, so let's begin. After I have a sip of milk, give me one moment. I don't get people that don't like milk. It's beautiful. Alright, No Man's Sky Beyond. Now, I don't know where to start with this because, to be honest, I have covered No Man's Sky obviously since 2017. I've spent a lot of time with the game. I've gone from someone that hates it to someone that loves it to someone that finds it kind of average to someone that doesn't really rate it all that tall, and everything and anything I have experienced with No Man's Sky. Especially being a content creator, you know, when it comes down to updates, you have a duty to make videos about the upcoming update, and you also have a duty to hold a viewpoint on it. I can't just kind of sit on the fence and make videos about Beyond. You know, let's say before Beyond came out, I just went, alright guys, here's some details, we can milk animals now, and that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys. Like, who would watch? No one would watch that. The thing is with YouTube, and the thing is with making videos, is that your opinion is a big part of it. And obviously you have to have an opinion of something. You have to have an opinion of a No Man's Sky update if you're making videos on it, and I guess your channel is built around making No Man's Sky videos. So obviously I had to have an opinion on the update as soon as it got announced, as soon as it got released and all of that good stuff. Now I will say that from the very beginning, I was thinking that Beyond was going to be basically next, but on steroids. Now, Beyond literally was No Man's Sky 2.0, as we know, but I don't think that Beyond was next 2.0. In fact, I'm going to be extremely controversial right off the bat and say that Next was just straight up a better update than Beyond, but I guess that is expected. Next, nothing will top Next. Next is, in my opinion, the best update. Now, love it or hate it, that's just an opinion. Beyond was not Next 2.0, it didn't top Next for me, and as such my opinion of it when making videos about it before it came out and my opinion of it now it has released is extremely different. Because back before Beyond released, I was thinking this update is going to be massive, it's going to change loads, it might be a variety update, it might be, you know, center of the galaxy kind of update, hence the word Beyond, it could be, you know, this, that, and whatever. It's the daddy of all updates and L-Play style, you know, it's the fucking mother of all content updates. It's going to do everything and what have you. When it came out, and I played around a little bit with Beyond, I soon discovered that, to be honest, Beyond is an extremely narrow update. Yes, it touches on a lot of different things. Now, don't get me wrong, Beyond has so many quality of life fixes, changes, tweaks, all of that stuff. It basically doesn't leave a single stone unturned in No Man's Sky. And I'm not trying to say that Beyond only focused on multiplayer and virtual reality. What I am trying to say is that Beyond, I think, had the expectation that it was going to not only touch on everything in No Man's Sky, but also improve everything in No Man's Sky. Not by a little bit, but by a fuckload, by a next standard. So, think of it this way. When Beyond was speculated about before it was released, before we knew details, all of that stuff, I was thinking that Beyond would take an aspect of No Man's Sky, it would put it into a little fucking pump, and that pump would touch it up a bit, squeeze it, you know, pour some lemon on it and what have you, and out comes a nicely wrapped little box, which is essentially that feature, but fucking level 100 boss. Everything is improved, everything is better, but not by a little amount, by a massive amount. Now, again, I'm going to be straight up and I'm going to be possibly quite controversial, but Beyond did not do that. And maybe that was because my expectations were too high. Maybe that's because all of our expectations were too high. Or maybe it's because Hello Games gave us the impression that Beyond would actually top Next and make Next look kind of minute and less significant in comparison. Because my biggest issues with Beyond, and I will start off by talking with the issues because I feel like that's what I'm way more passionate about than the positives. My biggest issues with Beyond is that what we expected and what we got was so different, but it wasn't even our faults for getting this so different. You know, right from the off, we knew that multiplayer was a thing and we knew that virtual reality was a thing. People that had VR headsets were excited for it. People that had friends were excited for it. However, we didn't know what that third pillar was. And for a long time we speculated it could be space, it could be the endgame, it could be absolutely anything. We didn't know. And Hello Games purposely did not tell us what it was for some reason, which we'll get to in a second. But by them not telling us what it was, for a start, our expectations ran wild. We thought that it could be anything. As I said, you know, it's never a bad thing to speculate and think about wild possibilities, but after a while, people start to kind of accept and also, you know, just generally go with the fact that the speculation is fact, because there is so little fact going that speculation starts to become something which can be taken as a solid piece of information. Now, another side effect of the third pillar not being announced with the rest of the original first two pillars is that we assumed, and I assumed this as well, that the third pillar was something really big. It was something that would almost overshadow virtual reality and a multiplayer overhaul, because why else leave it to last? And I remember saying this in quite a few videos. I remember saying it in quite a few streams. I was an extremely strong believer that the third pillar would be the one that would knock our socks off. It'd be the one that fucking bitch slaps us back onto the sofa, tells us to sit the fuck down, and we have to sit there and stare at it as it gets the belt off and it starts beating us. That is what we thought the third pillar would be. And that is what I thought the third pillar would be. And when it was announced that the third pillar doesn't technically exist, and the third pillar is just kind of like a little bit of, you know, touching up here and there, I was happy with that. I was more than happy with that. I know a lot of people, and I was as well to some extent, a little bit disappointed that it wasn't space, or it wasn't something that was major, and it wasn't something that would literally slap us onto our asses like we thought it would be. It was still a nice little feature. It was a nice update in the way that it did do a little bit of everything. But my issue with Beyond, once again, comes to the fact that although Beyond does do this, you know, third pillar where it touches up a little bit of everything, it isn't enough. I have seen a lot of people that say that unless you have virtual reality and unless you like multiplayer, Beyond just doesn't do a great deal for you. And you know what? I do agree with them to some extent. Now, I want to say first and foremost, I'm not hating. Alright, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. I'm not trying to sound like I don't like the update. Whatever the fuck you want to use against me, it isn't true, okay? Think what you want, but just hear me out for a moment, okay? I own virtual reality. I've played No Man's Sky VR once, and that was it. It was cool. That was it. I would rather play it on a flat screen monitor. You know, people that say that VR is superior to 2D are just fucking idiots. There is absolutely no comparison whatsoever. It is personal preference, yes, and some VR games are absolutely incredible, but No Man's Sky, I could not play that in VR for as long as I do on a 2D screen. There is just absolutely no way. Multiplayer is great, and if you have friends, it's also amazing. I have no friends, so it doesn't really mean a lot to me, but spawning in the little space anomaly and flying into it and, you know, occasionally getting recognised and talking in the chat is really cool. I really like that. I'm extremely disappointed to find that there isn't a guild system, which I almost definitely thought there would be. And this is something which I do have to touch on as well, alright? No Man's Sky Online, or this No Man's Sky multiplayer update thing, which, you know, Sean was gassing the fuck out of, I swear to God, there is something missing. Is it just me, or did No Man's Sky Online, when it was first announced, feel like the biggest thing going? Like, it was crazy, groundbreaking. You know, shit would change forever once it came out. And I won't lie, I actually forget that it was a component of Beyond, because had there not been a space anomaly, I would just not know that there was an update to multiplayer. And I get it, that is No Man's Sky multiplayer, it's subtle, and I understand that. But No Man's Sky Online, from the way Sean was describing it, was almost like an MMO. You know, he specifically said that it isn't an MMO, implying it resembles a massively multiplayer online game. What we got is, he's right, it's not an MMO, because it isn't any fucking different. It's the exact same multiplayer, but it's just refined and it's perfected, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm really happy with that. I just wish, and I'm also slightly confused as to why this, you know, No Man's Sky Online, which has its own branding because it's supposed to be so different and unique and such an upgrade, doesn't even have basic multiplayer features which you would see in an online shared space, like, for example, a guild system. Now, I get it. I'm being extremely hard on the game right now, and you know, you can take this criticism any way you want. I know people are just gonna watch this and be like, oh, listen to this little fucking British kid just complain about free stuff. I bet his parents hate him, and yes they do, but that's not the point. Sometimes you just have to say things as they are, and sometimes I feel like I just need to say what a lot of people are thinking, because no one else will say that. And I will just say that, in my personal preference, Beyond is probably one of the least exciting updates I've played for No Man's Sky. I think it's probably on par with Visions for me. It's good, and it is definitely good, don't get me wrong. Like, this update needs to exist, and I'm so glad it did exist. But, you know, for someone that just wants to explore and play on my own, it doesn't really feel like a significant enough update to be called 2.0. And I think that's a big contributor to my frustration with Beyond, is the fact that it is No Man's Sky 2.0. Beyond is literally 2.0 version of No Man's Sky, but at least to me it doesn't feel like that, because we still have the same flora, we still have the same cold planets, we still have some of the same animation glitches, and yes, there's polish, and trust me, there's a lot of stuff going on which I really do appreciate, but at least for me, 2.0 is maybe a little bit of a stretch. I think 2.0 was maybe pushing the boat a little bit too far. Again, the update was sound. Alright, trust me. Fucking good update. And in terms of what it does right, I can go on and on and on about what it does right. I mean, by far one of my favourite additions is the fact that Beyond just really quietly made Lush Planets fucking amazing, and it was barely advertised. In fact, I don't think it was advertised whatsoever. The screenshots which I've seen on Twitter, you know, the terrain, the colour of the grass, the length of the grass, the bush models, all of that stuff is different. It's old school. All of these photos which I'm now seeing on Twitter no longer look like No Man's Sky Next, but this weird hybrid between 1.0 No Man's Sky, or Foundations No Man's Sky, and modern day No Man's Sky, and it's beautiful. I don't think the game has ever looked better than before, and trust me, this is by far my biggest addition to Beyond. I love this about Beyond. You know, I don't give a fuck about the base building or VR or multiplayer, but genuinely just the improved colours, the diversity, and the terrain generation, which they say they haven't improved, but come on, there has to be something that was done under the hood here. It's fucking amazing. That's enough for me. Seriously. Beyond could have released with just these changes and fixes, where it's just, oh, here we have multicoloured grass, here we have grass that now goes up on hills, here we go, and there's another cave with some deeper rocks and shit like that. I'm happy with that. It's a damn good update for those that do just want to take sick photos. So before you label me as some kind of fucking bandwagon hater or whatever, I ain't saying that Beyond is bad. Alright, Beyond is not a bad update, it's just not No Man's Sky 2.0, not in my opinion, at least. And again, that's what you have to remember, this is just one guy's opinion, because you see a video on YouTube of a person expressing their mind doesn't mean you have to tell me to kill myself, and that my mum should fuck herself and stuff like that, you know. Just let a man have a thought, and be civil about it, because I'm really open to what people say about this update. And trust me, this is why I've spent so long making this video, and this is why I've put off this video for so long, because I've wanted to look at how the community is reacting to the update. I want to look at Twitter, I want to look at YouTube, Discord, I want to actually play it myself and get a feel for it myself. I'm not going to be one of those dickheads who play the game for 25 minutes on launch and then put out some fucking shitty review talking about an update which I have no experience with. This is why it's taken me over a week to make this video, because I've actually thought about it and I've tried to put something together which is somewhat cohesive to include everyone's opinion. But anyway, without sucking myself off, let's just get back to Beyond. Let me just have a quick sip of milk as well. So, Do I like Beyond? You know, is Beyond the update which I expected it to be? Do I feel let down? Do I feel like Beyond was a step in the right direction, etc, etc? Well, let me just put things into plain English for you. Beyond is a great update. It wasn't the update that I wanted, personally. There are definitely parts of it that I did want, like the colour diversity, the lush planet improvements, things like that. But at the same time, there's just a lot of fluff that I simply do not care about. Stuff like logic in bases, I don't care. I'm not a redstone engineer. That isn't my scene. But it is some people's scene. You know, feeding animals and riding them is probably cool the first time you do it, but after a while it gets kind of boring. Beyond is one of these updates which just kind of exists for the sake of bringing more people into the game. Beyond exists so VR players can purchase No Man's Sky, and Beyond also exists so people can play with their friends, and that so-called, you know, multiplayer myth of No Man's Sky can finally be dispelled. It's a good update. It's, you know, there's no other way to put it. It is a good update, but it's just not my update. It's not an update for me. Just like the Abyss update. It wasn't an update for me. It doesn't mean it was a shit update. In fact, it's probably one of the most important updates going. No Man's Sky Beyond is an important update, but a lot of it goes down to how I perceive the update, which is my fault, and also just the general appearance of it, how it was kind of laid out by Hello Games, and how it's 2.0. I think that's something that really irritates me, is how it's No Man's Sky 2.0, and I almost feel like it doesn't deserve that quite yet, because, alright, let me be frank with you for just a second, okay? I really want to be honest with you here, and I really just want to take a minute, should I say, just to be straight up. We need a No Man's Sky update that is either entirely focused on variety, procedural generation, or exploration. And this is why, not just because, oh, all snowy planets look the same, oh, I've seen the same tree over and over again. No. Every No Man's Sky update has added fluff. Okay, this is how I'm going to describe it. No Man's Sky still has the same gameplay loop that it had back in 2016. The entire purpose of the game is to mine. You mine to upgrade, to then mine, to then upgrade, and so forth. The whole game is a grind. The whole game is managing resources, and as many updates as Hello Games can put out on top of this game to add a little bit of fluff, a little bit of icing here and there. So instead of mining on foot, you can now mine in a vehicle, or say you can now build a base, so you can mine to get the base parts and so forth. There is just a lot of stuff going on top of the problem. The problem itself is not being solved. Maybe the word isn't problem, that's probably not the right word, but the biggest lackluster part of No Man's Sky is the core. It's the foundation of the game. It's the loop of the game. The loop of the game has remained untouched for 3 years, basically. So No Man's Sky needs an update that, instead of doing this stuff like adding, you know, milkable animals and NPCs that sit down and stuff like that, they actually need to straight up work on the foundation, on the core of the game. Why you do stuff, how you do it, and so forth. I have so many ideas about how they can do this, and trust me, I have seen this on a lot of Steam reviews, I've seen it on my live streams, things like that. I think there's a general consensus that although the updates have brought No Man's Sky into the 21st century, and the fact that they're free and the fact that they don't have to exist are absolutely amazing, but a big reason why No Man's Sky is still very mixed, and yes, it's better than it was before, there isn't a doubt about that, is because it's still the same game as it was when it came out. It looks newer, it has fluff, but it's the same fucking game. It's the same gameplay loop. It's like putting a texture pack on Minecraft. It looks different and it plays a little bit differently, but it's the same circle. It's the same little algorithm, the same little fucking shape of stuff you're doing. You're always going to be doing the same thing, and until an update tries to change that, and I'm not even saying rips it all apart and forms it back into this little Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, I'm not saying that. I'm saying cut it in half, put a little fucking slip road through it, and just add something a little bit different. Maybe just change up mining a little bit. Maybe just make space an actual moving thing. Have real suns, have planetary rotation, something like that that isn't a little piece of icing. I think will be the update that makes a lot of people happy and doesn't just please people in the community. Because a big problem with No Man's Sky still to this day is that although us in the community are happy, and there are people that are still coming over to the game who are previously haters and all of this stuff, there's still a lot of people who will, yes, give the game a second chance because they've seen how much it has changed and how it looks and all of this stuff, but when they play it and they pick it up and they get a few hours into it, they start to notice the same things which I noticed back in 2016, as in the planets all feel kind of the same, all of the animals still feel kind of the same, they're still doing the same kind of thing, the entrance to space stations is still the same, the center of the galaxy is still the same, and you get what I mean. The big stuff has yet to be focused on, and maybe that's why I don't think Beyond should have been 2.0. I think 2.0 should have been planetary rotation, or flying to actual stars, or new fucking procedurally generated space station interiors, or something drastic. I don't personally believe that Beyond is big enough of an update, or actually not even that, because it is big. I don't believe it has enough radical changes to be considered No Man's Sky 2.0, because just for a minute, take out No Man's Sky Online and take out virtual reality and you have features, okay? Don't get me wrong, fucking loads of features, but would you consider them to be No Man's Sky 2.0? I don't know. Maybe you will be, maybe you won't, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It doesn't matter. It's an opinion, and that was a massive rant, but what I'm trying to get across here is that No Man's Sky Beyond is an update for me which is just so mixed. I loved it, and I also really get quite upset about it at the same time. I feel like there is a lot that could have been, and a lot of it is probably down to my expectations not being met accurately, and that's my fault, okay? I can't for a single moment blame that on Hello Games, but yeah, Beyond is a good update. It's, you know, it's a really good update, don't get me wrong, but 2.0 I would not call it that. I think if it was No Man's Sky 1.9 or something like that, then yeah, hell yeah, I'd be up for it. The anticipation and the fact that it's living up to this, you know, oh look at me, I'm 2.0, it just, no, it makes me kind of resent it more than I should do, because I know it isn't what it's shown to be. It isn't No Man's Sky 2.0. But anyway, I'm just repeating myself, and I'm also fucking sweating my balls off. I've had to turn the fan off whilst I'm doing this recording, so I'm getting very sweaty. But yeah, that is my opinion on Beyond. Now, love it or hate it, he's spitting truth right here. No, that's a dead meme. Love it or hate it, you know, this is just what I think. You may agree with me, you may really disagree with me, I don't know, but please do let me know. As always, I love reading you guys' comments about all of this sort of stuff. I just want to say thank you very much if you made it to the end for sitting through nearly half an hour of me just chatting shit. And if you somehow enjoyed me chatting shit, then please do feel free to leave a big fat like on the video. And if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.